Hi and welcome to another episode of eCom at One. And today's guest is Matt Thorpe, who's a digital marketing consultant and eCom expert in the UK with over 20 years experience and heads up an agency in the UK called Grasshopper. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm good, Richard. Very well, thanks. How are yourself? You all right?
I am very good. We're on the last day of the month, which is always good. I always like to get it done. So we are headed into February next week, which is great. So yeah, looking forward to having a good catch up with you. How's things?
Definitely, yeah. No, it's all good actually in the ecom world. All very busy. People starting up lots of exciting projects, and then other clients investing. Now Christmas is kind of out the way, and they've realised they've got to put their foot on the gas a little bit. So can't complain.
We were just saying, weren't we? I mean, we had a little chat before we came on. It's crazy times at the moment. I think January. Yeah, it's quite typically a time where a lot of firms and people and everyone really, I think, are thinking about their future, and particularly the business owners and marketing managers. But seen some insane trends this last few weeks in terms of sort of ecom. So it'd be good we'll dip into that as well. So I think we've got quite a lot to get through. So let's rock and roll. So I can see, obviously, you've had you've got a vast experience in ecom, worked for a lot of the big sort of high street brands and big brands that a lot of people will know. So from head of eCommerce at Jack Wills and Ann Summers to running your own business, Grasshopper, what evoked the change, moving from sort of in-house to own business?
Well, I guess I started off on my own about 11 years ago, and I kind of always had this kind of entrepreneurial streak in a way. I just got excited about new projects, and I'll be honest, I never really got excited working in big corporates, and I found that it was just there was obviously the politics element, and I just wanted to move a bit quicker, and I wanted to meet new people as well and get involved in more projects. And at the same time, I was also launching a product of myself, which I was taking to market. So I just decided, you know what, I've got a lot of contacts in the industry on the e-commerce side, and I wanted to take this product to market. So it was time to sort of take the plunge and go for it. And I haven't looked back since.
Haven't looked. And how long ago was that?
That was 11 years ago. So it was 11 years ago. So yeah, I've been around a while.
Yeah, 11 years, like dog years or e-commerce years, aren't they? There, just like the last year, what we've seen in the last year, what we've seen and probably learned, or definitely learned, about ecom and the things you can do in ecom and the different parts of the industry that have massively grown. 11 years, so it's obviously some vast experience there.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of projects, a lot of years, a lot of ecom years. I don't know. We're gonna have to somehow figure out like what is an ecom year equivalent to in a normal, ecom marketing year equivalent to in like a normal year. It's like a 5-year.
Yeah, it is. It is the red eyes and the crow's feet. They kind of tell you a different story,
So ecom stores, obviously majority of our listeners, as the name suggests, ecom at One, I'll be on a different parts and paths of their journey, whether they're thinking about setting up an ecom store or they're several years in and just done their first £1 million month. What would you say is the 3 most important things that they should be thinking about implementing, or 3 things that you've seen over the years that are really key to success with ecom?
Well, the thing is, I see a lot of horror stories, as you probably have over the years, and there's a lot of excitement around e-commerce, and it's a fantastic industry to get into. That lots of opportunity, but there's obviously lots of pitfalls, and there's lots of people get burnt in so many different ways because they watch something on YouTube, and they see someone in their bedroom making a load of money, and they don't really understand the fundamentals of actually how you run a business and how you actually acquire customers and treat those customers. So the 3 things that I always say I always come back to fundamentals, and I say the first thing is I teach people how to sell. I teach people how consumers actually buy. They don't just kind of click on an ad, rock up, and suddenly impulse buy that product. Especially if it's something that is of a higher price point and it's not an impulse buy. It's very rarely where people will visit on the first occasion. So I teach people that you need to put your funnels in place, and you need to look longer term and actually understand your customers. The second one is building an email list. Believe it or not, that is still something that many brands don't do properly. They don't focus on actually encouraging people on that list, and they don't focus on actually using that list wisely. There's a lot of kind of buzz and shininess about the social media world, but you don't own that platform. It's all on rented ground. It's a hard slog actually making an impact, and obviously a lot of it is paid to play. Whereas if you build your email list, you can build lots of revenue down the line, and you own that relationship. And then the third one is more of an SEO strategy as well. So, why do you want to spend loads of money moving forward on ads when you can actually have, if you put a bit of work in at the start, you can focus on driving organic traffic to your site, because you want free traffic at the end of the day, because traffic is expensive, and spending loads of money on ads, is not a long-term strategy to grow your business. You want to, you have to have a bit of a mix. So it's teaching people how to sell, build an email list, and focusing on SEO.
So I think there's quite a lot there, isn't there? Yeah, I think the guys that are listening in, that email list straight away, I think, it's been a reoccurring theme through quite a lot of episodes. And I think, it's flabbergasting, that you're absolutely right. I totally agree. The amount of eCom stores that are just all about getting a new customer, well, you hang on a minute, you've got the customer, or you've got the newsletter subscriber, or you've got the subscriber to the download of the XYZ. Nurturing those customer relationships, I'm really working on those, thinking about lifetime value of a customer rather than that one-time customer. It's transformational. It is in any business, I think. I think just not to lose sight of that is absolutely key. And then that you said, I think, was, are you familiar with a chap called James Schranko? Does that ring?
Yes, I've heard James. Yeah.
And he's sort of like, one of his things is very much about owning the race course. And what he means by that, his sort of analogy is, you've got your website here, but if you're completely reliant on one traffic source and that traffic source disappears, then it's like, what have you got left? You need to own, you need, and I think it's just a great analogy. You need to have various other areas. If Google throws some update into the mix, and you've maybe doing some dubious SEO or whatever it may be, and you lose your SEO rankings or your paid ads, the recent Facebook iOS challenges, you've got to have all these different areas, but but then it's then, in those specific areas, how far you go and what you do. And, so I think having a good spread, like a spread bet is always a good thing. The amount of people we see that come to us and say, well, we do, 300 grand a month on Amazon, 300 grand a month on eBay, and £6,000 through the website. It's like, yeah, we've got a problem there. As soon as one of the platforms put their fees up, or a new player comes in, or Amazon decided to do your product range as an Amazon basic product, you've got a problem, sort of thing. I think, having those spreads out there is a great idea. So going back to that sort of second point and a bit of the first point, selling to those customers. But what advice would you give to the guys about improving that customer loyalty? You're in a very competitive niche, potentially, which is most niches nowadays, really. Not always, but most of the time. It's easy for me to sit here and say, and you to say, right, let's get them to buy more. But how can we get them to buy more? What sort of things to make them more of a loyal customer base could you advise the listeners to look at?
Well, the key thing is what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a relationship with people, and that's where email is very effective. Now, I've heard a lot of stories about, no one opens emails anymore, and even especially the younger generation. Well, it's actually true. They do open emails still, but they open the emails from the companies that they want to hear from. Email has been abused just like everything else over the years, but consumers are loyal to those companies that actually go to the effort of understanding them and trying to build a relationship with them. And that's not just about sending sales emails once they're on an email list. It's about educating them via a welcome series, for example, an onboarding series. It's educating them about the products. It's educating them about the brands, how the benefits to them, how products are made, how they're inspired. There's a lot of, customers want to come behind the scenes of your business. And the way to do that is actually to onboard them in the right way and educate them. And if you educate them in the right way, they will learn to become loyal, and they will learn to want to spend more time with you. It's a bit like people. If people don't give you the time of day, you don't want to spend time with them. But if it's someone you're genuinely interested in, they will go out of their way to spend more time with you. And when you actually send an email or something like that, and trying to communicate with them, they will switch on and they will be in tune with it. Whereas if you don't, if you just send them sales emails or you just don't bother communicating them, it's like out of sight, out of mind type of thing. Consumers, there's a lot of choice out there, and they switch off. If you abuse that relationship, they switch off. So I see a lot of businesses, they're focused on ads, and they're trying to there's so much noise out there, and they're trying to get in front of people, and it's invasive. It's just not a great, it works. Don't get me wrong, to catch their attention, but the real loyalty is in the back end email side of things.
So the guys that are listening, you want to be thinking about, there's a lot of things there, but I think, we see it with our clients, absolutely spot on. The guy, I'm a big believer in that. The guys that are sharing those behind the scenes, the stories of the brand, because everyone started somewhere, whether you're sitting there now and you just shipped your first 10 parcels, well, tell everybody how excited you are about your first day where you did 10 orders or 2 orders or whatever it is. I think, it's because obviously that's mega. It's mega. If you're just starting out, and if it's, if you just moved into your new 50,000 square foot, can't get my words out, but you do 50,000 square feet warehouse, then great for you as well. And the different team members, we do a similar thing in our agencies. Our team, we're a big supporter of them sharing what they're doing and what they're doing in their day to day. We're doing at the moment a series of videos. Each week a team member is doing a video about their day in the office. Well, as an e-com store, what could you do there? Your a day with your warehouse manager picking and packing, or a day with the purchasing team, the day with we've got the samples in. Oh, what samples have we got? Oh, what do you think to these guys? Should we list them? Engaging via your email and your social media as well. Your email and your social media. Yeah.
And I think there's other little ways that you can improve loyalty. It's all about the little touches. So it amazes me the amount of people on Etsy, for example, that go that extra mile on the packaging. You get some beautiful packaging. I'm a big fan of the wow factor with packaging. Okay, so you see the unboxing videos on YouTube of phones and tech and handbags. These people are excited before they've even got to the product.
Yeah.
If you put a bit of attention into the packaging side of things, and you can wow the customer, impress them, and completely change their perception or create a perception of your brand.
So good.
When they see the packaging, look at Amazon. It's just a box. It's not exciting. People rip it open. But if you've got a delicate, well-presented piece of packaging with a nice little welcome note and a sticker that says when who it's packed by, little things like that.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, just quickly. Sorry, don't want to drag on, but there's an app called Bonjoro.
Oh.
I don't know if you've heard of that, which I absolutely love. And it's called Bonjoro, and it's basically when you have a sign up to a newsletter or when you have an order that comes through your online store, you get a little notification on your phone, and you can record a video to welcome that person on board, and record it on your phone within like 20 seconds and click send, and that customer immediately gets sent that welcome message. And it's just those little personal touches.
That's amazing. I've not heard of that.
Very powerful. And you got to think about what companies actually go to the effort of doing these things. Very, very few. Once they've got your money, they don't care about you anymore until it's time. Like car dealerships, until it's time to service your car or buy a new one, they don't really care about you afterwards. So it's that after sales service which is massively important.
Yeah, I think it's such a focus. I think and that's why I think you guys listening in have got to think, why are people buying from you in that first place? But then why are they going to stick around? They're buying from you in the first place. It's not probably because it's the easiest option, because we know there's some big boys out there that can do a one-click purchase and go and buy from those guys. Whereas coming to the independent e-com stores, that personal service, that story, that follow-up. I mean, I during lockdown, we've been doing some work in the house, and I thought, bugger it, I'm going to, excuse my French, but I'm going to treat myself to a nice one of these fancy coffee machines. So, doing the research, ended up with a coffee machine like 3 months ago. So obviously for a coffee machine, I need the beans to go in the coffee machine. So, looking at the different companies, and some of the coffee brands have got it so right, because what they're trying to do, the ones that I believe are doing very well, or I know are doing very well, are the coffee brands that are, trying to get you on subscription. Which is this retention piece, because obviously you don't just drink coffee once, like a pair of shoes you might wear once every now and then, and you buy one pair. Well, you don't buy one pair, but you buy less frequently every month potentially. You want your coffee. So here I was, I've signed up for 2 coffee brands, now, and like mid-month I get my subscription from one, and then end of month I get my subscription from the other. But when the package arrives, it's like it's a major event. It's like, the box is obviously completely branded. It's not just a brown box. It's completely branded. It's like, oh, the coffee's here, I open it up, and then it's like all the extra sort of, as you say, stickers, and so one of them I ordered 2 coffees, and I'm on this subscription where it's like I'm having a certain tier of coffee. It's like an extra £1 for the premium option, if you like. So but it's like, and then each pack, They tell me, about the grower of the coffee, and his family, and an image of the area of Brazil or wherever in the world it is. And it's just like, it's a real experience, and now, I'm drinking that coffee and put that in the coffee machine. And now I'm waiting for the next lot to come because I'm excited about that experience. And I think if you can make, and think about your ecom store and create that experience, so people, are going to want to come back, going to want to subscribe potentially, depending on what you sell. I've done a few episodes on subscription and membership models. There's nothing more powerful. But I think a question for you would be, so, okay, you're an ecom store, you've started, you've really got the email dialed in to try and retain, you're putting this, some more personal touches in the boxes. But what else would you say a business can do, if drop off starts to pick up, more and more, or your conversion rate, not your conversion rate, but your rebuy and upsell, cross sell opportunities in the future from existing customers starts to drop off? What sort of other things do you think people could do?
Okay, so if you just rely on email on its own, I think that at some point you will get drop off. But there are other ways you can encourage people to become more loyal, and part of that is just upping your communication. So I'm a big fan of just picking the phone up and just saying thank you. Spending a few hours every week just sort of picking the phone up and sort of saying thank you, interviewing your your VIP customers, your top spenders, especially the people who spend most with you, the people who buy more often. Sometimes it's a low amount, but it's more often. Those are your your VIPs. It's that 80-20 rule, okay? So 80% of your revenue will come from your top 20% of customers. And you want to just keep communicating and make them feel special and involve them in your business. Ask them about ideas, about product development, get them involved in meetings. I had one company, there was a luggage company, a business luggage company. I don't know if I'm allowed to say them on here, am I?
You can do whatever you like.
Gate 8 Luggage, great company, great sort of business luggage. Obviously the pandemic has kind of not helped them at the moment, but they will obviously pick up once all the airlines kick off again. But we were very close when I was working with Gate 8, with Alistair there. We were very close to the customers, and we actually asked them for feedback on products, features they'd like to see. We actually got them together in cafes in London for focus groups. And they just loved being involved. They want to be asked. What what products do we want to see in the future? What features? They really want to get involved in the business, and I think that makes people feel special, because, like I said earlier, the big companies, they become disenfranchised with them. They don't really feel special. They just feel like it's a big corporate entity taking the money. So as a small business, there are so many really personal touches that you can put in place. And you want to, at the end of the day, you want to create super fans, a band of loyal super fans. I would urge everybody on this podcast to listen to the podcast to go and read 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly, which is an article where he writes this article based on a rock group, but he basically says, if you can create a team of loyal fans, not necessarily 1,000, because obviously if you just started off, that's a lot, but it just means that if you can create 1,000 true fans and keep them happy, and they will buy everything you ever sell, and they will do your marketing for you. And that is it. It's just focusing on not likes necessarily and follows and everything else, because that doesn't pay the bills. It's about really focusing down on those people and what they VIPs and what they spend.
So maybe if you're listening to this podcast, you've got this far with this episode, you should hit pause right now. Well, in a minute, pick up the phone, or go to your CRM, your back end of whatever it may be, Shopify, etc. Other e-com platforms are available. Get logged in, look at that order that got delivered yesterday, pick up the phone and just say, hi, I'm XYZ. I'm the owner, founder of XYZ. And I just wanted to see how that you got the delivery okay, and how the experience was, and what's the product like, and find out, and talk to your customer 5 minutes out of your day, and it'll get you'll get some great feedback, some honest feedback, and you'll get quite a buzz from it, because it's your business at the end of the day, and really, I think, at the end of the day, you've got this store, you're probably obsessed with traffic and conversion and making money, but ultimately, if you can retain and find out more about those customers, in the long run, you're going to have more loyal fans. And look at that those 1,000 true followers. I mean, yeah, I'm completely with you on that one. To get, but try and get that first one, or those 10, then that 100, and like anything, when you start in that process, it starts with that first step. So I think, pick up the damn phone, hit pause now, and we'll see you in a second. Well, welcome back. So yeah, great. So, that's going to help retain, going to help and get you obviously a lot more feedback. But when we go back to that conversion piece, obviously you worked on a lot of e-commerce stores. I know we can, there's a lot of things we can look at and specifics, when we get into the data and the GA or whatever you're looking at specifically, whether it's this platform, that platform on the ads. But what sort of things or advice would you give to companies listening to improve conversion rate on their e-com stores?
Okay, so there's a couple of, kind of, I guess, obvious ones, but most powerful is video. Video is the best converting media for an e-com store, and especially if you've got a kind of a product that needs a bit of an education, you can't underestimate the power of video. And I'm not saying they have to be Hollywood blockbuster style videos. They can be quite, shot on your iPhone or whatever device you have, because of all in HD sort of thing. But customers, they don't expect something really flashy. They just want to learn more about the product. And you need, it's your job as a store owner to keep people on your site as long as you can, and you need to educate people. So video is fantastic for that. Selling the benefits as opposed to the features. So writing product descriptions that actually appeal to that target customer, not just product descriptions that have come from a manufacturer if you're reselling other products, and not just being lazy about it. Quite often I see, people want hardly any content on a page because they've seen a high fashion brand like Gucci and Prada and things like that. And, those brands have so much PR behind them and so many tens of millions of dollars spending probably a month. They don't need to go down the kind of whole route of describing their products. But when you're small, you need to go the extra mile as if you're talking to your customers. So sell those benefits. Features are important, don't get me wrong, but it is the key benefits and the proper description. And then mobile payments is another one. So your checkout has to be mobile friendly, not just mobile responsive, mobile friendly. You have to test it. You have to get other people to test it, ask for feedback, because checkouts are where people drop off all the time. And if you, I still see checkouts that only have PayPal, for example, and credit card. They don't have Google Pay, Apple Pay, or Amazon Pay. You want to make it as easy and as frictionless as possible for people to give you their money. That's really where you need to focus.
I think there's another stop point for the guys listening in. Get on your websites and check the damn payments, because I think the amount of websites, literally like 1 in 3, I think the amount of times you go to a store on a mobile phone or a device, and then you get the chat pops up when you're about to put your credit card in, or less frequently, but still, it's a huge problem still. So, really, it sounds so obvious. Well, of course it works. Are you sure it works on a new iPhone or whatever it may be? You'll be able to get a feel for what devices are going on your website by looking in your GA, in there, and you'll find, a report in there that'll pull out all the different devices that are using, which will be most devices still that are out there. But if ultimately something's obscure in that payment piece where you submit, and we see it all the time, and then those product descriptions, I think that's one that we talk about a lot. But I think just from an SEO perspective, rewriting those product benefits, definitely product descriptions with the benefits. But from a SEO point of view, obviously you've then got unique copy content, as opposed to if you're doing a sort of CSV style pump and dump into your website. And you've got the same as everybody else. You've got unique content, straight away, which has been written fresh on that. And would you sort of go with that sort of 80-20 principle again that you mentioned there? So you'd focus on the products that are the better selling products to start with then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just start off on your best sellers, obviously, but just make sure your descriptions are actually telling people why they must own this product. They must own it. They don't get if your description is not going to excite them, then they're not going to buy it. So you have to put in work. And I think that you know, as e-commerce business owners, we do so much. We're fighting fires all over the time, all over the place, and we've got a lot of jobs, and not everybody is a copywriter. So if you can't write copy, outsource it. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg, but you can outsource it to some excellent copywriters who will do that for you and take that headache away. But you know, it's all about your brand as well. Your brand is your language, not just the way it looks, but it's your language as well. So you know, it's worth putting in the effort.
Yeah, great stuff. So moving on, similar vein in terms of, you know, things to improve the websites and the conversion rates, but obviously you've worked on a lot of big sites, you know, big and small, all the way through big high street brands. But what are the common things you've seen that why most e-commerce stores fail, would you say? What are some of the things people need to be looking out for?
Well, I think the first one you mentioned earlier is the fact that you know, they're always chasing that next new sale, and obviously we've spoken about the loyalty side of things as well. So I think that's massively important, is neglecting people who have already giving you the money, because you've done the hard part by getting that sale. Because the biggest obstacle in e-commerce is gaining that trust. And once someone you have someone's trust, then they've opened up and they're ready to learn more about you. If you neglect them, or if you just completely ignore them, then that's it. It's a lost opportunity. I think also a lot of stores don't even know who their target customer is. You know, they just go, oh, anyone who buys fashion, anyone who buys bike parts, anyone who does this, anyone. You need to know who your target customer is and what makes them tick. And that is one of the very first things I teach businesses, is to create a customer avatar. I know it sort of sounds a bit fluffy and a bit kind of from the market, for marketing textbooks, but it's true, because if you don't know who your customer is and what makes them tick, then what their beliefs are and what's important to them, then how are you supposed to sell something to somebody? You can't just go after everybody. You have to have a target customer, and there will be other people on the fringes. So that is really, really important. And I also think that business owners should stay off YouTube or not spend as much time on YouTube. I'm not saying there's not, you can't learn a lot from there, but I think there's a lot of people on there that, especially, with the kind of the increase in drop shipping style businesses, and these young kids in their bedroom make it look very easy, and they're saying, I made £1 million this weekend or something like that. But what they don't tell you is they probably spent 990,000 on ads. So it's exactly, and they're usually trying to flog you a course at the end of it.
That's so true, isn't it? Follow my blueprint where I made XYZ. I forgot about the fact that I live at home with my mum, and okay, so some great stuff there. Lots of things to look at. I think and I think that's the thing, though, that I think it's good to just stop and really think about the areas in your business that that could be a problem. So I think really have a think about those specifically. But so moving on to PPC, which is very much a huge part of our sort of agencies, and I know it is yours as well. So where do you see the sort of best results for e-com stores? I mean, I say PPC, it's a very broad topic. There's a lot of areas there, but where are you sort of seeing some really good traction at the moment?
I think Google Shopping is good at the moment, just because it's simple and it tends to work, because people are in a buying mindset. They know what they're after, they know what they're clicking on, and then once they get to your site, it's pretty much down to is your site trustworthy? Are you delivering the product in the right way? And obviously price does have an element to it, but price is not. If you've got a strong brand and you look professional and you've got that trust on the site, then price is not the differentiator, I think. It's great for kind of, I guess, fairly simple products. If it's a more complicated product, then I would, you probably need to look down the Facebook route and actually get people into a kind of a longer purchasing funnel that way. Because like I said, very rarely do people, buy on the first attempt. And obviously with with Facebook campaigns, it's the retargeting and remarketing side of things that actually generates the real revenue. So, but the key, if you're if you've got a product that requires education, then the key thing is to try and get people on an email list and continue to educate them, sort of thing. So Google Shopping is the one that kind of does it for my clients at the moment, but followed by the Facebook ads, Google ads as well. AdWords works as well, but it's getting more expensive.
So I think we are completely on the same page. Any regular listeners that are listening right now will know that we are obsessed with all of that, but specifically Google Shopping, is sort of our lead service, very much so, within our agency here at eCom One. So just going into shopping a little bit then, because we've done 5 episodes on shopping specifically on the podcast, and what would be maybe one little gem you could give the listeners on Google Shopping specifically? I think typically we see, a lot of people, use Google Shopping, but what's the one thing or two, I'll leave it with you, that you think people should be thinking about, or probably haven't implemented or could implement in the Google Shopping campaign?
Well, I think it comes down to the actual pages themselves, in my opinion. I mean, getting the clicks from any campaign is fairly straightforward. It's just a case of making your pages convert, because if you're just expecting the campaign to run on its own, you'll never really, yes, you can increase results, and yes, you can do okay, but the real the devil is in the detail, as they say. So if you can focus and see, right, okay, where am I getting the most clicks and where am I getting poor conversion? It's the same with analytics. If you're looking at your site, it's all very well looking at visitors going up and everything. That's all kind of, that's all very glitzy and everything. But really, if you can look at where people are exiting your site, they're the opportunities where you're going to make some real traction. Because if you can convert, improve conversion on your pages or on your checkout, then your campaign is going to run, be far more efficient and have a better return on investment.
Yeah. So obviously, shopping campaigns don't go direct to, as do sort of Facebook DPAs and whatnot, go direct to a product page, and making sure those product pages are, thoroughly thought out, laid out. The conversion path is there, clear calls to action. I talked about those, those product descriptions are very thorough and very, very benefit led, and obviously very clear call. I mean, I think what I've seen a lot, even more recently, actually, just the colorways on the websites where you see, let's say the brand's grey, everything's grey. That's a bad choice, but not in all cases, but that's a bit of a bold statement, isn't it? But the checkout button's grey, the checkout's grey, everything's grey. Well, if you think about that path, that path and flow for the money, what our testing has shown that have that path a different color. So if you look at somebody like Amazon, who will have spent tens of millions testing this process, I want to call it yellow, but they won't call it yellow. It'll be some fancy named yellow, I'm sure.
Color psychologist.
Yeah, exactly. They've probably got 5 full-time colorists, if that's even a job. At least. But that path of their yellow, the Amazon yellow, flows through. So when you look at your site, how clear is it that the buy button, when you hit that buy button and add to cart, is the add to cart? That's a very simple, summary from my end. But look at those product pages. Yeah, great. Okay, so bit of an old school question now is so you've got PPC and we've got SEO. What's your take on that sort of battle between them both? An e-com store, should you do one? Should you do the other? We know you should be doing them both. I think that's what I assume you're going to say. But what's your sort of opinion, on that sort of piece of both of them?
Well, I say long term. If you're starting off, then PPC is a great strategic tool. I think actually even moving forward, PPC should be used strategically. You shouldn't ever become reliant on it. I had a client quite a few years ago, and he was reliant on PPC, and I was saying to him, you need to focus on the SEO side. It's vitally important in the medium long term, because it might not reap dividends right now, but you just can't rely on PPC. And he kind of ignored me a little bit, and then he was doing phenomenal numbers through PPC. But then 1 month he had a product issue, and he had a load of product returns, and he lost a load of money, and his sales literally fell off a cliff. because he became so reliant on it, and then he didn't have any organic traffic. So I always say to brands, I always say, look, you know, PPC is great strategically and it's great to get you off the ground, but you should focus on SEO as much as you can, because I believe that the long term, there's so many opportunities and niches to explore, and you can have customers coming in from all sorts of directions and be very, very creative. And it's a, you know, it's a fantastic way to convert customers further down the line, you know, without worrying how much you have to spend, because yes, it takes time and it takes effort. But again, you know, you can invest in a writer to continue. You know, writers are very affordable, and there are some fantastic writers out there that can deliver some serious benefits. So I would always say it's kind of a you know, a sort of a 30% PPC, maybe you know, 70%.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's you know, I think we always put it akin to, you know, I think like paying for your ads is like you're renting the car. Whereas if you've got SEO, you own the car, and you're sort of, you know, you've got a lot more control and ownership. You know, it's a lot harder for that car to be taken off you, really, you know, as long as you're not doing some really, really dodgy old school SEO. So I think, but I think that's a great bit of advice there. You know, I'm more of a both kind of guy, because I think at the end of the day, it's the return on spend, isn't it? For me, you know, if you're, or in return on investment, whether that's in SEO hours or team or time, or, you know, on your ad spend and time and team. So return on both. But yeah, thank you for that. So
just one more thing on the PPC side of things. I mean, I think it's also important as well to have that longer term view on PPC, because you know, it can cost you quite a bit of money to acquire customers, but it's then your job as a store owner to then drive more revenue from those people who have you know, who you've acquired in a more expensive way. So, you know, PPC can be very, very cheap. It's just a case of, it's up to you to put the back end work in to drive that revenue.
Yeah, well, thank you. So sort of drawing to an end, it seems to have flown by. So obviously, we've touched on it, but I think let's go in there a little bit further. So, you know, most industries are getting more and more competitive. I think most people listen to the podcast. You know, there's very few industries out there where there's not, you know, quite a few people doing what they're doing, and that's a good thing, I think. You know, that's a really good thing that you're going into an industry where there's a lot of competition. I embrace that type of environment. But obviously, you've got to go in there prepared, and I sort of say, bring it on, sort of thing. So, what would you say to companies that are in a very competitive space, you know, to how they can stand out from their competitors and how they can thrive in a very competitive market space?
I think, you know, the key thing to me is about building relationships and building interactions with customers. Customers will interact with brands that are interesting, that have got interesting things to say. So if you're just an e-commerce store, if that's all you are, is products on a page and you've got nothing else going on your site, you're a one-trick pony. You're a shop. People are going to see you and they're going to go, well, I can get it somewhere cheaper. If you actually focus on the content side of thing on your site and say, let people in, and kind of encourage them to be part of your business, price is almost irrelevant, you know, provided you're not twice the price of anybody else. But, you know, it's not, don't sit there and think, okay, I have to be the cheapest. Oh, that competitor's more expensive. It's not about price. It's about how you present the product in a meaningful way that makes customers really understand that you understand them. So it's about, as I say, creating those interactions and involving them in the growth and looking at that real personal element on the loyalty side as well, because that's what'll make you stand out, because there are so many businesses out there, big businesses and small businesses, that don't focus on those little personal areas, and that's where your opportunity is.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being a guest on eCom One. It's been an absolute pleasure. We always like to finish every episode with a book recommendation. So it doesn't matter if it's whatever it may be, as far out as you like. What would you recommend to our listeners to have a read of, or listen to?
Well, this is a book that's actually really helped me in my business, and it's The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Now, it's about creating systems and processes, you know, to get you out of your own way within your business, and it's about being able to kind of, you know, if you can get processes and systems and get people helping you in your business and get the thing moving in a kind of a you know, in an automated way, then you can take a step out of your business and really focus and be clever and smart and strategic about growth all the time. I've been there as a as a sort of startup entrepreneur. You want to do everything. Just because you can do everything, it doesn't mean to say you should do everything, because all you're going to do is burn yourself out, and you'll end up working evenings and weekends. So read the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, and it will change your life.
Yeah, exciting read. I think I would recommend everybody reads that. And certainly if you're trying to scale, fantastic. Thank you, Matt. Well, thank you so much for being on eCom at One. Now, if the guys listening want to find out more about yourself, Matt, what's the best place to do that and find out more about yourself?
If they want to learn more about my consultancy, it's grasshopperuk.com. And if they want to learn more about e-commerce in general, I have a blog, which is webshopmechanic.com.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for being a guest on eCom at One, Matt. It's